at the installation experience really bad. Just nothing worked. So why, Windows 11, are you forcing this app on me? It's just annoying. I can tell when the laptop's on battery. I hate the idea of Microsoft recall. I don't like the trajectory that Microsoft is taking with integrating AI this deeply into our laptops and our PCs and our computers. I don't have enough information, but luckily getting that information is a two-way door. For a bit of context, I took my laptop and I switched over to Linux. I've had about a week of experience with it, and there has been a couple of ups and downs. Maybe I was too quick in jumping to Linux as the answer. Maybe I haven't explored Windows 11 at all. The reason why this lack of information is a two-way door is because I can just try out Windows 11 and get all the information I need by actually experiencing it. A two-way door is a reversible decision, something you can just try out and see if it works, and then come back if it doesn't. In my case, I can just try out Windows 11, see if it's good for me, and if I don't like it, I can switch to Linux, or I can try Windows 10 until the time it stops getting supported. I don't want to die on any hills, and I don't mind giving things a fair shake. So my plan is I'm going to go back to Windows 10 on my laptop and then upgrade it to Windows 11. I want to emphasize that this isn't a knock against Linux, and this isn't something I'm doing to be a fan of Windows. I just want this to work, I want it to be a good experience, and that's that. I don't want to be a fan of any one side, because at the end of the day, I gotta look out for myself. Windows doesn't really care about me, Linux doesn't really care about me, and Apple, they don't care about me either. So whichever one I choose, I gotta choose based on my own needs, my own preferences, and go from there. It's been a couple of days since I upgraded my Windows 10 to Windows 11 on my laptop, and I have some mixed feelings about it. So let's dive into those feelings a bit more with a game called Red Light, Green Light. The first red light was right at the installation experience, which was really bad. I thought going from Windows 10 to 11 would be really streamlined, but that wasn't the case at all. I tried the official installer, I tried downloading the ISO image. My laptop definitely met the requirements, but just nothing worked. What I had to do was go into the registry and edit some variables manually for it to work, which is super frustrating. It took like hours and just ultimately not a good start to Windows 11. So that's a big red light. Once I did get Windows 11 working though, a green light was that the apps that I was used to and that I actually use, they worked flawlessly. DaVinci Resolve was working, SolidWorks was working, and pretty much everything else I was used to, it just worked, which is kind of what I want out of my operating system, for it to let me run the programs I need to make stuff I want to make. So that's a green light. Speaking of programs though, a big red light was programs that I did not want, and I'm talking about Bloatware. Even though I only had it for a week, that Linux experience felt clean as a whistle. There was no fat, no fluff. And then coming over to Windows 11 and I have an Xbox app already installed, like I don't even play Xbox. I don't even have an Xbox. I don't game on consoles at all. So why, Windows 11, are you forcing this app on me? I have to uninstall it manually, and it's just annoying. So that's a big red light for me, which is bloatware, and Windows is kind of full of it. Because I mentioned Linux, I do want to talk about the customization. Of course, Linux is king of customization. You can pretty much do whatever you want to the operating system if you're running Linux. But I found that from my personal experience, Powertoys is enough to give me that customization experience that I want, and I kind of liked in Linux. So what Powertoys is a Windows application that lets you do some basic customizations. So the main thing for me was key bindings. I was able to map the Windows W key to open a web browser and the Windows O key to open up Obsidian, which is my note-taking app. This keyboard shortcut to open up apps is something that Linux kind of spoiled me with, so I was happy to see that Powertoys gave me a way to do that in Windows. And obviously Linux is much better at customization. It's kind of like the meme where Linux users are like, look at what they have to do to mimic a fraction of our power. But honestly, for my use case, the customization that Powertoys offers is enough for me, so I kind of appreciate that. So that's a nice unexpected green light I found in Windows 11. Switching it up though, a big red light I found was the battery performance. On Linux, when I was on battery, it didn't feel like a different laptop to me. But on Windows, I can tell when the laptop's on battery. It's just a lot more sluggish, a lot more slow, and just a suckier laptop overall. So I know this laptop's old, I've had it for like 4 years, but it's got good hardware in it. And it was running really well on Linux, even on battery. So I don't know if it's like a power setting or something I have to do, but I wish that the performance gap between battery and plugged in wasn't as noticeable. Maybe there are some power settings I can change to make the difference less noticeable, but for now, it's a red light for me. The last green light I have to talk about is a tool called Winutil, and this is developed by Chris Titus Tech, and it's a nice UI that helps you debloat Windows and do a couple of tweaks to make it more privacy aware. Now, I wished I didn't have to use Winutil in the first place, so maybe this shouldn't even be a green light, because the fact that I have to use a community-created program to make Windows less like Windows and make it a better experience, you know what? No, I'm changing that to a yellow light. The fact that I have to use it sucks, but the fact that it exists is kind of cool. So now that we're on to yellow lights, the first yellow light I have is the overall UI change. It's gone from blockier in Windows 10 to more rounded rectangles in Windows 11. I don't mind it, it's whatever. I'm used to the Windows 10 stuff right now, so it's a bit weird. It's just a UI thing, so I'm not too concerned about it. Just thought I'd mention as a nice little yellow light. The last yellow light I have is recall, and this is kind of like a strong yellow light. This is like almost orange going into red. I hate the idea of Microsoft Recall. If you don't know, it's basically this idea to use AI to take constant screenshots of your operating system every 3 seconds or something and have AI search through it, so that the idea is that if you want to find something or recall something, you have a really granular history of what you've done on your system that you can go back to and filter through. So obviously this is a huge privacy concern because it's literally storing screenshots of whatever you're doing on your computer in some local folder, which is local only until Microsoft says it is. And the reason why it's a strong yellow / orange, almost red light is because I'm not affected by it right now since this PC can't run it. It doesn't support Copilot+, but I don't like the trajectory that Microsoft is taking with integrating AI this deeply into our laptops and our PCs and our computers. I'm really wary of it right now, but because it doesn't affect my experience of this laptop, I'm going to give it a strong yellow, orange, almost red light. So that's red light, green light, and I think that summarizes the main points I've had about this Windows 11 experience so far. What am I going to do next? My gut reaction is that I'm going to stick with Windows 11. And that's just because it does what I need to do in terms of running programs, because that's ultimately my goal with using laptops, computers, electronics in general, is I want to fulfill some higher level goal, whether that's making videos or doing engineering or something else. I don't want to think about my operating system, and that's something I realized with my experience with Linux. Although it was cool to learn more about it and get a bit more hands-on with the tech that we kind of overlook every day, I realized it's not really for me. I don't want to be the one tinkering with my operating system. So that leaves me in a weird spot because Windows 11 enables me to do what I want to do, but it's also really kind of scary how Microsoft is approaching privacy. I don't like all the telemetry and privacy intrusions that the operating system is being bundled with nowadays. And I'm going to try my best to avoid that by using tools like Winutil and by going to the settings and disabling all things that are privacy related. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm going to be using Windows 11 because it lets me do what I want to do. But that being said, I'm really happy that I took the time last week to try out Linux because it's removed a big barrier that I thought I had. I didn't really understand what it would be like to try a different operating system. So just making that dive into Linux and giving it a shot really opens up the opportunities, because now if I don't like Windows, I can just take an exit and try something else instead. And I think that's really important for anybody out there. Having those opportunities just be open to you. Just because the opportunity is there doesn't mean you have to take it or commit to it, but it's nice to have options. To end off, this has been a fun experience. I never thought I'd try a different operating system, and I'm glad I did. But there is one elephant in the room, which is macOS. And honestly, I think that's an experiment for a different time when there's a bit more money involved. For now though, I want to forget about operating systems and just use this thing as a tool to make things that I actually care about. I'll see you in the next one.